Thank you so much, Rahul, and welcome to this call. So, before we get started, Rahul, if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and what do you do right now?
Sure. So I come from a tier two town city called Nagpur in Maharashtra. I did my schooling. I went on to do electrical engineering from IIT Gandhinagar.
Hmm.
It was one of the new IITs back then. I graduated in 2012.
Okay.
And post that, I was placed in an e-commerce startup called fashionandyou.com in a software development role.
Hmm.
I worked there for a year. And after that, I decided to pursue my technical electrical interests. And I went on to prepare for GATE examination.
All right.
Prepared for GATE and then got through to PSUs.
Okay.
Um, Through PSUs, then I joined IOCL first and then ONGC. I served in IOCL for about 9 months, and then I've been working in ONGC for the past 5 years.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
Interesting.
that's about it.
So, in your role in ONGC, what do you do, and what is your designation?
Yes, I work here as an executive engineer,
Hmm.
and we have a processing gas and crude oil processing facility.
Hmm.
I work there here as an executive engineer in the electrical department, and we look after the entire all the electrical equipments and all the planning and inventory management, everything that is related to electrical department. We look after that, and
Okay.
also there is the project planning and other upcoming projects. We look after them as well.
All right. So, why did the thought of an MBA come to your mind?
So basically, I did try to attempt an CAT attempt in my final year. I got a convert from a few of the new IMs, but that was just about giving an attempt and let's see where we stand.
Mm.
I was not wanting to do an MBA without an experience, and after working in ONGC and about for 5 years now, I feel that it is the right time now to pursue that interest of mine to take a career leap and get onto the faster track.
All right.
MBA was always on my mind.
All right. So, you worked for 5 years and then thought that now is a good time to, take that leap, right? So, why you felt at this juncture you were ready, personally and professionally?
Sure. So the thing is that I had worked really hard to crack the GATE examination, and so the results of that effort, I wanted to work through it.
Hmm.
So so it happens in a personal journey that we cannot just keep jumping frequently.
Hmm.
uh, it is necessary to stay learn from the journey, especially with this whole setup of a PSU. I feel there is a lot to learn from that, and the first 3 years I was completely dedicated to that, and in the last 2 years then I was thinking that okay, now it is a good time to do an MBA. My experience is also good enough, and finally I got in touch with Crackpurple, and then that's how that thought, somehow I was not getting time to study, then months were passing by, sessions were passing by. So finally last year then I decided to okay, take help and get going with the GMAT and the rest of the stuff.
All
I
right.
started I think exactly 1 year back I started contemplating about this whole journey, and I thought that I would need help with that.
All right. So, how did you come across Crack Bubble, and what was your initial research that you did for your GMAT prep?
Sure. I My initial research was not much. I bought the official guide. I started solving questions, and I thought I would do it on my own. So I went on to solve a lot of questions, and the accuracy in that questions was less.
Hmm.
And that is when I got to know that even after reading the explanation, I was not able to get what is written in that, or not repeat the same mistake again.
Hmm.
That is when I tried to search for the options where for getting help for the GMAT thing, and I wanted to have an Indian tutor,
Hmm.
a setup which is Indian, so
Hmm.
that they would know about our language and the way we think and the way we approach to normal English.
Hmm.
That is how I shortlisted Crackable. I think Crackable is, yeah, Crackable is the best. That is the only one. And of course, the YouTube videos about Crackable, 2, 3 videos I had seen about the approaches and everything. 2-3 videos in, and then I decided, okay, I will go through with Crack Bubble.
All right. So interesting that you mentioned that you wanted to focus on someone who understands your way of learning, right? So what was the difference between self prep versus going for a structured course? What was the main difference you saw?
So for me, I would say I'm good at English. I come from an IIT. We used to talk, write, think in English.
Mm,
So I thought that it would be easy for me
mm,
to excel at verbal part. So I did try to solve questions. I was giving more and more time to giving more practice, solving more OG questions, and I was still getting stuck. So at that point of time, while reading the explanations, I found out that basically maybe there is a difference of thought process, difference of approach towards the English language for particularly for the GMAT examination. And that is when it came to mind that an Indian tutor would be the right person to understand and put focus on those typical exact points where we go wrong, and the GMAT expects us to be thinking differently.
mm,
So that is how I thought that yes, an India tutor would be good.
mm. How did you manage your preparation with a full-time job? Because that is a lot of people, that is the main concern everybody has, right?
I
That
think everybody has that. I think nobody preparing for GMAT is sitting at home. I had a bit of advantage and disadvantage with the work profile thing because we have a work profile of a on-off work profile. So for 2 weeks we are at home, we don't have any work, and
Mm,
for 2 weeks we are at site. We have our own campus over here, accommodations and everything.
mm,
But having said that, at home as well, it is very difficult to study because every 2 weeks your link is broken completely.
yeah.
And to get again started with it, GMAT requires a bit of consistency.
Mm,
You cannot just sit for 2 weeks and clear GMAT. So that was a bit of a hurdle, and it took me quite some time
mm,
to get to a position that okay, now I can give the examination.
mm,
But I did one thing I would like to say that the course structure is in such a way that there is an initial part of the course structure which talks about how to use the course and uh, how to study basically. Not they don't jump directly to the coursework, and I did not go through it. I was like, okay, fine. I don't know. I'm not good at sentence correction. Let us just do sentence correction first. And towards the end, and then I saw those videos, and I got to know that if you go through that part of how to study, how to approach, I think your work profile, they do consider that as well. Work profile won't be a problem because yes, it is given clearly that you don't have to dedicate a lot of time. About 2 hours is a very good amount of time daily, and you can work through it. So work experience is something you can manage both the things if
right,
you follow it properly.
right. Particularly between verbal and quant, was there like a difficulty level or your challenge in one section more? Even in verbal, for example, some people struggle more on reading comprehension, more on critical reasoning. Was there any specific approach that you took in either of these cases?
See, how I would say, put it like this, is that people giving GMAT as such with a good amount of experience, they are coming back to studying and solving questions after a really long time.
Hmm.
And because of this, it takes a very lot of it takes a good amount of time to understand the question and then approach it, be it reading comprehension, be it sentence correction, be it critical reasoning. So this time duration to understand, grasp, and then solve a problem is something which we people face a lot.
Hmm.
Having said that, sentence correction was something that not just the time was the issue. I was not able to, you know, eliminate three options and come to two options at once. I used to take a lot of time to eliminate options and come to a solution, and it was causing me a time pressure as well.
Hmm.
With reading comprehension, I would say it was not the case. It was just the speed of reading, and it would come with time.
Hmm.
Critical reasoning, again, there was this thing about how to eliminate the options. Every time, even if you solve many questions, there will be two or maybe three
Hmm.
answers. All of them would look correct to you.
Hmm.
All of this I'm saying when you are halfway through the preparation. Till that time, this dilemma is still there. And towards the end, then it starts becoming clear.
Right, right. So when you say towards the end, it starts becoming clear, is it because you start seeing a pattern in the kind of questions that you're solving, or you just get better at it? How does it work?
It's a combination of both. I would say that the coursework of Crack Purple is such that they don't give you a lot of stuff. Like they will not give you 50 examples of just one concept. They would touch upon concepts, you know, give a solid example through which you would more or less understand all the aspects of that concept, and then it is up to you to practice questions related to that concept. So once this foundation of concept is clear with you, so while I say concept, it is not the English grammar concept of it. The foundation is about how GMAT expects you to approach a problem. So once that is done, I would say that the problem solving is something which would clear. So I would look at it like this. I used to read, I used to go through the videos, and then I used to solve problems. On the first go, let us say if I solved 20 problems, my accuracy was not that great. It did improve from what it was earlier, but it was not that great even after watching the videos. After the, let us say I completed the entirety of the sentence correction module. After that, again, when I used to solve those questions again and again, slowly the pattern used to become visible. Slowly the you yourself start getting clearer about things. So again, I would say the course material is not your holy Bible that you just read it and everything is enlightened. It is not like that. You have to work on it. One more thing is there that many people don't get it. They go through the module and then they think, why is my accuracy not 100%? Or why has it not improved a lot? Your mind takes, so this is one key thing, your mind takes a lot of time to rewire according to GMAT. So it is more of an acquired taste, and it takes time. So I would say that, keep solving questions, maintain an error log. So this was told in one of the introduction videos, which I did not see. And towards the end, towards my last week, I started maintaining error log, which helped me. It did help me because I was able to solve medium and hard questions. So accuracy was not that great in hard questions. But then I used to maintain the error log, and then I went through that before giving my first attempt of GMAT. I gave my first attempt, and I got a pretty decent score, and that is why I did not give a second attempt. I gave first attempt, and that was it.
What was your score?
I scored a 720 in my first attempt, and it was already pretty late, and I had to focus on the applications. I did think about it that I would give another attempt and everything, but once you get through the application process, you don't get time.
Right, right.
At least I think so, because I cannot do two things at the same time.
Right. Very interesting, Rahul. I think you know brought in some very interesting points on the whole process and the whole thought process behind how people you should think about GMAT as a test, right? So a lot of people also keep telling that GMAT is all about especially sentence correction, that it's all about grammar and you have to memorize so many grammar rules, and Crackable has some theory around that aspect also, right? So what is your thought process in terms of how you approached sentence correction?
Sentence correction, as many people face it, even I had a huge problem with sentence correction. When I said my English was good, my grammar was not good. I used to be good at speaking English and writing English. So I used to think that when I read a sentence, I would know what is wrong with it because my English is good. And this is, I think, this is the case with maximum people, that they think that they would know. And there is nothing to worry about. People who don't know a lot of grammar are as bad as how we are. So the work with GMAT is that you have to work on certain points. And GMAT will not test you on trivial grammar. It will not be like, if I don't know the basics of grammar, or if I don't know the extreme ends of grammar, I would be at a loss. The basic preparation of GMAT will take you through the points which the GMAT expects. And after that, it is all about the practice, because the pattern becomes clearer with the practice. There are certain rules which I don't know why they are there in the first place, But yes, because of the grammar part, I got to know about it. Also one more thing, that usually when certain people, they find the pattern, eventually they will write it down, they will paste it, they will memorize it, and one fine day it would be wrong, because GMAT has a way of testing you on the patterns as well. There are exceptions, you have to go through that as well. So yes, if you maintain error log, everything would be, I think it will be documented, and the patterns and the exceptions both would be there with you. This process requires time, so that is what I would say, that you should give around 3 months to GMAT. And even if you break through, not break through, even if there is a break in your preparation, that's okay. Many people leave the GMAT preparation thinking that, Arey, abhi to my score is not jumping above 600, 650. Let's try next year or so. It is not like that. It builds through. 3 months is a good amount of time. You can do it with breaks as well.
Right. So how long did it take you from start to finish?
It took me a lot of time. Uh, I started in Feb on my own, and around May I started with Crack Bubble. And as I told you, I just started doing sentence correction straight away, and I found out that it is not helping a lot. It is not helping a lot. So still, I finished the reading comprehension. Reading comprehension, I was able to improve a lot after this. And after this, eventually, I went on to see the initial videos, that how to approach the whole thing, and then I got to know that there is Crackable gives you an Excel sheet which has all the questions of original guide. Yeah, OG, all the questions are there, and you can maintain your error log with that. So when I say error log, I think people who are trying it for the first time, they won't get it. Error log is basically, OG is it is a set of questions from the GMAT, and they have selected those and they have prepared answers for that. You have to see if you can answer that question, and if you are not able to answer, you have to write it down into the Excel provided by Crackbubble.
Right.
So that is how you can understand that, okay, this question is something which I can do, this question is something which I can't. It is a downloadable Excel, so you can even write down your findings in it. So yeah, that is how it is. So it took me, so I got on to Crackbubble properly towards my last 1 month, and that is when I got maximum benefit out of it. Maximum growth was during that time.
Right.
And being a working professional, being this on-off profile, I would say that there are so many distractions. And the good part of Crackbubble with that is that when there is a distraction, people know they're getting distracted and they're wasting their time, and then they're guilty about it, and then they don't study after that. Good part about the recorded lectures, I took the recorded lecture package with Crackbubble. I used to just start the lecture, I used to sit, and within no time I used to, I was inside the topic again. So the work of getting you focused was not done by me, it was done by the lectures. And I would say that is the good part about the Crackbubble. All the lectures are they're made in a way that it would catch your attention and your concentration as well.
Awesome. Awesome. So, were you very clear you wanted to apply to only Indian programs, or were you also exploring, other geographies?
No, I was not clear about that. I was in fact hoping to apply for US, Australia, and not Europe, US and Australia, and Indian as well. But I was not sure I would get this score or not. I was like, I might get 690 or something in my first attempt, then I would build my score. When I got 720, I was like, okay, now I can apply. But it so happened after that, I had a talk with you as well. My wife is a surgeon in India, and so if she has to move to US, she will have to. Our degrees are not valid over there, and she will have to do the whole residency and the entire education. She has to take it again. So unless it is a long-term plan of settling abroad, I would not think people with Indian wives or Indian doctors as well, they should move to US. Yeah. And that is when the Indian part came in. I was going to apply for ISB. Of course, I was going to do that, but I have then applied for IIM ABC as well.
All right. Yeah, I think that was a really wise move, from your part on planning. So, coming to the application bit, right? So, did you research on other application consultants, or how did you go about choosing Crackbubble?
I did not have a lot of time. A major part of my time was about eliminating US and other things.
Hmm.
I used to see videos of Crackbubble about the application part, and I did not think much about it. I was like, okay, let us try Crackbubble only because um, I thought they know my profile, they know about me, so it is better if I um, go ahead with Crackbubble.
Right. So tell us about the application process and how important is the role of the mentor in this process? Because, sometimes people say it's just a bunch of essays, right? Like, how difficult can it be? Right. So, in your view, what is the role of a mentor? And, what was your revelation about this whole process, while you went through it?
Sure. So I would put it like this: in order to get through a B school, the admissions committee has to like your essays, and if they have to like your essays, you have to make it in a professional and in a personal way. Now, most of the people are not sure. This MBA process requires a lot of contemplating, and many people are not able to do it. Many people are able to do it on themselves, and then putting it on the paper in that word limit. This whole thing, I have heard people doing it in the last 3 days and then still getting through. I have heard people who have tried for 2 months as well and they have not got through it. So it is better if you are not very good at putting down your thoughts and articulating an essay as such. It is better to take help, professional help. And coming to the contribution of the mentor, I would say that it was extremely helpful. The mentor who was assigned to me, he was a professional person proper, and we had a lot of talk about the nature of MBA and what you get out of an MBA, and what should I look forward when I'm applying to an MBA. What should be my work experience is about 7 years, and for the IIMs, I am pretty much of a younger guy, and for ISB, I am on the higher side. I'm on the older person side. So the tone of the essay would modulate accordingly.
Mm.
So those things he had told me, and we had a very fruitful discussions. I mean, he had um, Crack Verbal gives you a form initially, which is called, there's a PAS form, personal application survey something
Strategy. Yeah.
strategy. And it has those very core questions about why do you want to do MBA, what you look after, what is a short term goal, what is a long term goal. So this comes before the mentor comes into the picture. But yes, these questions are something which a candidate has to think it through. And once I was not clear about those things, I submitted the answers. The mentor came onto the table, and then we worked through all those questions and answers.
Mm.
And I would say in Indian essay stuff, just in these three colleges, IIM ABC, there are a lot of essays. IMA has 3 essays in a very short period of time, and Bangalore and Calcutta has the SOPs, and ISB has 2 essays.
Mm.
So a lot of essay writing goes into the whole thing, and of course the mentor is there who would talk to you and would get to know about you. He would understand your whole profile, and then he and you will sit together. He would ask me to write the whole thing first. There were a number of iterations, and used to have targets like tomorrow I have to write this much. I have to write answers to these things, and you should focus on these aspects of the question or these aspects of your life, and that is how you would get out information outside inside of me, which I thought maybe it is useful, maybe it is not useful.
Mm.
So this thing is there, as I said, articulating your thoughts, your personality into words is something which is not easy. It takes a well-rounded person to put it through.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, how much time did you spend in your applications?
I
Is
spent, yes, I started it off quite late because I was spending a lot of time on the PAS form, the form which is given before the mentor comes on. So I spent 10 days to write it, and it was not so helpful. And it was just 10 days were remaining when the mentor came into when I started interacting with the mentor. So yes, I had about a week before writing my first essay. and another week before writing my last essay. So about 2 weeks I was working with the mentor.
All right.
That was
All
the
right.
time. Yeah.
So, how many interview calls did you get? And, if you could just walk us through the interview process also, like what was the timeline between submission? So you applied to all these schools in round one?
No, I applied the IIM ABC in round 3, and
Oh,
ISB I applied in round 2, and
okay.
all the deadlines were pretty close to each other.
Hmm.
I started very late. I had 1 week.
Hmm.
IIM Calcutta was 1st of January. Within a week, within 10 days, all the 3 deadlines were there,
Hmm.
and so we sat down. I wrote the essays and everything, and the interviews were pretty fast. I would say within a matter of 2 weeks
Hmm.
after the deadline, interviews came through.
Okay.
2 weeks or 20 days maximum,
Hmm.
2 to 3 weeks. So I am ABC. All the 3 had pretty close deadlines as well, and the interview were also scheduled similarly.
Hmm.
ISB is about the rolling interviews, and I am still yet to face the ISB interview.
All right.
But I am ABC. I had finished quite close to each other.
Okay. So what was the difference between the three interviews, more from A, B, and C? Do you think there is, in terms of their approach or the kind of questions that they ask? Because though they are all IIMs, the personality of each of this school is slightly different, right? And you
Yes.
cracked B, right? So, tell me about your interview process and, how did you prepare for it to begin with? And, how did you go about that?
So Indian schools, especially IIMs, I had not thought about IIMs earlier. When I came down to India specific colleges, at that time IIMs had come into the picture, and I would tell you that IIMs think in a way that you have to have a understanding of the current affairs in the country going on. So usually people with a good amount of experience and applying for executive MBAs or maybe ISB PGB program, they don't focus on that because they think most of the interview would be their work experience based questions and the why MBA and everything stuff like that, behavioral questions. But yes, as IIMs, it is a truth that IIMs expect that you should know how things are going on around you. And my I got through B and C. I could not get through A. B and C, I got through first interview about the IIM Calcutta, and during that interview I had a hard reckoner about this fact that current affairs is very necessary, and they did ask me a good amount of political and lot of current affair was there in the interview. And since I had been through such interviews in my initial days when I was preparing for a 2-year MBA, I knew what to answer. So I did not know anything about it. I told them blankly that I don't know this particular aspect. And basically, they tried to stress you out. In IIM Calcutta, I will tell you about IIM Calcutta. It is not that my interview, the way it would be for everyone else. I was the last candidate of the last day of the last round. So,
Ouch.
so I'm not sure why. Maybe because of that, they just focused on that. They did question me about some statistics questions, about some real life applications of simple mathematical concepts. But yes, the application should be good enough. So maybe they're trying to test that how simple mathematical concept weighs in into the real life situations.
Hmm.
So that one was there, and the current affairs part. Current affairs, whatever I knew, I told them, and others I confidently told them that I'm not sure about it.
Hmm.
So at the end of the interview, I thought that this interview is gone and I would not get through because I was picturing myself into that frame only about how the 2-year MBA goes, MBA program
Hmm.
interviews go through.
Hmm.
But they finally I got selected in IIM Calcutta. And
Okay.
now looking back, I feel that maybe they look at your composure.
Yeah.
So the current affairs is there. Many people don't know everything about everything, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
once we don't know an answer, people try to shake or
Mm.
maybe they can get.
Sometimes there are questions are more around your industry also.
Yes,
Even if it's current affairs, it will be more around your industry so that they know whether you know
I
about
was
it or
expecting that. Yeah, I did prepare about it.
not.
I did prepare about it, but they did not ask me about it.
Okay.
And one after another, questions about random current affairs were there, and that is when I got to know that okay, I don't know, so it is better to remain confident
Right.
and look for the next question which I can answer best.
Hmm.
I think that clicked, and I got through C. For IIM Bangalore, I would say it is a pretty much of it revolves around your application. Each and everything in your application you should know about it. And the interview basically went through my entire journey, what decisions I took, why I took them, and my industry as well. There were a good amount of questions about, as you said, there were current affairs about my industry and about my company as well, why this decision was taken, is it good or not. So these things went through, and then the usual behavioral questions were there, and then the why MBA, and they did ask me about my short-term goal, and do companies come onto the campus, what you want out of an MBA.
All right.
So these questions were there.
All right.
IIM Ahmedabad has an extempore. I'm not sure if many people know.
They do.
And the interview starts with that. Majority of the interview is around that. So one should be prepared for that, I would say.
Right. So from the interview to so both with with IMC you felt that you didn't do a great job because you couldn't answer a few questions, but IMB went very well and you were you felt positive about the interview after you finished the interview, right? All right.
The thing about IIMs is that IIM Bangalore and Calcutta have a very small batch size.
Right.
So it is important that you put your best foot forward. Absolutely. Having said that, there is you should not be under a lot of stress. I was under a lot of stress before the interview, but at least the IIM Bangalore panel made me comfortable, and we had a fruitful discussion, I would say, about the entire scenario about the oil and gas industry and whatever, and the whole part of my journey.
Right. So in both the interviews, it was an interview panel and or just one person. How was it?
It was an interview panel. It was a Zoom call. So two people were there on the other side, and both of them were discussing from their own places. And yes, it was an interview panel as normally it goes through. For IIM Bangalore, it was such that they were sitting in a conference room, both of them, and again it was a panel.
All right.
Panel is always there.
What are your plans now? How are you planning to, in terms of, are you looking at help with finances, or are you preparing some pre-MBA thing, or what are you doing right now?
Right now, I just got the call and I have entered my resignation as of now. IIM Bangalore has all the IIMs have their cycle going on very fast from 1st of April they start, 2nd of April. So I am working through all these things. I will be pitching myself as an operations engineer, and not just operations role I want to pursue after the MBA. But having said that, if I like something else going through inside the MBA, I would like to diversify my profile over that.
Right.
That is what is going on right now.
All right.
ISB interviews are yet to happen, and I will prepare and see if I'm hoping that I get through ISB, and I have that choice of choosing IIM Bangalore over ISB.
Absolutely.
Let's see, we'll have a discussion over that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I have had multiple discussions like this every year, so I can definitely help around that. So awesome. Thank you so much, Rahul. This was extremely insightful, and I'm sure it's going to be extremely helpful for people who listen also to this video later. Because there are very specific things that you mentioned which I think have been key to your entire process and your entire journey. So I think like you said, it started sometime last year where you started thinking about an MBA, and today you have an admit, you have multiple admits in hand and still waiting for more. So I wish you all the best for your future, and I'm sure you will do great. You did a great choice choosing the Indian school. And I'm sure you'll do awesome in terms of your career.